Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I've thought a lot about the subject matter for my second video, and honestly, I'm still sort of in a phase of just trying to put content out. So I think I'm just going to probably talk more of like a stream of consciousness sort of thing. I have some generalized ideas flowing around in my head, but I really want to drill down a little bit into the concept of midlife crisis, the idea of navigating midlife, and sort of define a few things, at least as far as how I see them. I think anything up to about 30 years old, I think you could probably consider that to be the first phase of life, early life, if you will. And I think that's really dominated by learning, understanding the way things work in life, interacting with other people, developing a sense of how you exist with others in the world, figuring out what you want to do with yourself. I would consider 30 to 60 being sort of the bookends of midlife. Once you hit 30, you're now in it. My own experience, I would not have considered 30 being my midlife stage. Certainly I think when you're around that age, you don't consciously, it's probably not common that you consciously recognize, things are changing, but they are. You're moving into a new phase of life. I think your 30s and your 40s are obviously a shift in priorities. And I think midlife itself is a transition. And I don't think that it takes a while. It takes a while of your priorities changing for you to sort of realize that things are different. It's a cumulative effect. And that's where I'm at. I mean, I think I'm in my early 50s and I'm starting to see, I don't want to say the end. I'm not looking at it like the end, but I am looking at it like life is different now and life will be different later. And how do I process that? How do I embrace that? That's the question. Some people don't do it in a very healthy way. Some people don't do it in a very healthy way. And that's why maybe you have the term midlife crisis. But I don't want to do it in an unhealthy way. I want to be healthy about it. So this process is about me figuring out a way with you guys. How do we get to the other side? The other side is exciting. I'm excited about the other side because what that is retirement and more agency over what I do every day with my life. And really, these priorities that are coming to light now that I am constricted by work with being able to fully put front and center, my hope is that someday work will no longer be a barrier to me being able to put those things front and center. This topic is near and dear to my heart because I'm going through it right now. And really, I think I need to probably take a moment to sort of define where I'm at, because without that context, I don't think that a lot of this makes a lot of sense. But I think it's well established that people go through a process in midlife where, they're evaluating, like I said in the last video, it's an evaluation of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. And I think that's pretty natural. And just at a baseline, that's what I'm going through. And I think what I recognize is there's a lot of people that are going through that. This is not a unique thing. You're not alone. I'm not alone. And so that's part of why I'm doing this, is to reach out in a way that I can create some community. So I'm not unhappy. I'm not in a crisis state, but I do see some rough waters. I'm experiencing some rough waters, and I do foresee that they will be there in the near future, but that is perfectly normal. And that is helpful to me because I think for a while I've been kind of struggling. And until I, consciously recognized that this is a process that is absolutely normal and others are going through it and you will get through it, I was probably a little more unhappy than I am right now. Um, in particular at work, my job is stressful, and I defined myself by my title, my position at work. Many years ago, when I was much younger, it was who I am and not what I do. And I've become more, this is what I do, it's not who I am. That in and of itself is a monumental change. So perhaps there are people that don't work in fields or take jobs where that's ever a thing, where maybe you've never identified with your job, but I personally very much identified with my job as being part of who I was for many years, and it's just not the case anymore. So one of my challenges is to deal with that at work in a way that is healthy, that also leaves me as being a productive member of my organization. And that's a challenging thing from time to time. It is. But I just sometimes it's more of a grind. Some days it's more of a grind than others. So that is one of my challenges to navigate midlife because I'm not ready to retire, if you will. Um, we'll get into some financial stuff, but I will just say that I have a pension and I am eligible to retire. But that word retire just means that I can take my pension. I can walk out the door and take a pension. It doesn't mean I can stop working. So, and even if I could, I don't know that I want to stop working. I'm very young. Um, so, so we'll get into that. But again, it's just an example of changing priorities, shifting priorities, and how they impact you day to day. If you found something entertaining or interesting or something in this video that resonates with you in your current situation, I would appreciate at the very least, maybe just a comment down below. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me where you're at. Really one of the big things or the big thing that I want from this YouTube channel is interaction with others and some sense of community. That's really what I'm hoping to achieve here. So if you, like I said, if it's entertaining or resonating with you, please drop a comment. I'm really trying to grow my channel. I'm very, very new. It's only my second video. So my hope is that it's going to get better and more entertaining as time goes on. Are you interested more in the financial side of things? Are you interested more in the physical health side of things? Or is this something more really that in your mind, the hurdle is the emotional / mental side of navigating midlife? I think they're the three worlds that we live in when we're talking about midlife navigation. So thank you so much for stopping by. And certainly if you're still here, gosh, I appreciate you watching the whole video. I am looking forward to seeing you in the next one. And if all goes well, I'll see you then.